Porsche insists it's not joining Formula One in 2026. No team, no engine, nothing. But what if not entering is actually the smartest entry of all? Because in F1, silence isn't retreat, it's strategy, and right now, Porsche might just be playing the quietest power game the sport has ever seen. Back in 2022, Porsche came closer to Formula One than at any point since the failed footwork engine deal in the early 1990s. Negotiations with Red Bull powertrains were advanced enough that Porsche AG filed documents with European competition regulators confirming it was seeking to buy a 50% stake in Red Bull technology. That wasn't rumor, it was official paperwork, but then came the split. Publicly, Porsche said the deal fell through because it wanted to be more than just a sticker on the car. Red Bull, famously protective of its independence, wasn't willing to give up that much control. And since then, the line from Porsche has been consistent. We're not coming to Formula One. Executives have repeated it, sometimes almost word for word in interviews. The message is simple. They're focused on sports cars, Formula E, and endurance racing, not the political and financial minefield of F1. Meanwhile, Volkswagen's other child Audi went the opposite direction. They signed the papers, rolled out the press conferences, and proudly declared their entry as an engine supplier for 2026. Audi is the sibling who shows up to the family dinner with a ring on their finger. Porsche, well, they just smiled, shook hands, and quietly slipped out the back door. But here's where the denial actually gets a little bit interesting. Motorsport insiders have noted that Porsche hasn't shut the door completely. The phrasing is always careful, always leaving a sliver of possibility. And history tells us something important. When big automakers play coy in public, it usually means the real work is already happening in private. So what if Porsche's exit wasn't actually an exit, but a pivot instead? If Red Bull wasn't going to be the stage for their grand F1 play, maybe it was time to find a quieter theater. And that's where Williams comes in. Enter Williams. Once upon a time, this wasn't a midfield struggler, it was a dynasty. 7 drivers' titles, 9 constructors' championships, and legends like Nigel Mansell, Damon Hill, Jacques Villeneuve, and Alain Prost all lifting trophies in Williams colors. In the 80s and 90s, the Grove-based team was a powerhouse, regularly trading blows with McLaren and Ferrari, but as the years went on, the magic faded. Financial struggles, the loss of key technical partners, and a rapidly changing sport turned Williams from title contenders into perennial backmarkers. By the late 2010s, they weren't just slow, they were clinging to survival, finishing dead last in multiple seasons. In 2020, the Williams family, who had run the team since its founding, sold the team to Dorilton Capital, marking the end of an era. And yet, there's been a shift. Under Dorilton, Williams has been slowly rebuilding, modernizing infrastructure, upgrading facilities, and injecting fresh capital. The real turning point came with new leadership. James Vowles, formerly Mercedes chief strategist, stepped in as team principal in 2023. His arrival brought credibility, direction, and, perhaps most importantly, patience. This isn't a quick fix operation, it's a rebuild. Heading into 2025, Williams announced a bold rebrand as Atlassian Williams Racing, signaling both a new commercial identity and a renewed confidence. Pair that with a young, ambitious driver lineup and a culture that feels more forward-looking than nostalgic, and suddenly the team isn't just existing, it's daring to plan for the future. So why Williams for Porsche? Well, because Williams is both vulnerable and ambitious. They're not weighed down by the politics of a Ferrari or the pride of a Red Bull. They're a team in transition, hungry for expertise and open to the kind of deep technical integration Porsche can provide. So the question writes itself. If you're Porsche, a brand obsessed with precision and legacy, why wouldn't you slip into bed with a team on the verge of revival? It's less flashy than Red Bull, sure, but in the long game of Formula One, Williams might just be the perfect Trojan horse. All of this maneuvering makes even more sense when you look at what's coming in 2026. Formula One isn't just tweaking the rulebook, it's rewriting it entirely. The new technical regulations will demand a true 50-50 split between internal combustion and electric power. In plain English, half the grunt will still come from fuel, but the other half will come from hybrid systems that are about to get a whole lot more sophisticated. That shift changes the entire pecking order of the grid. Teams that have treated hybrid systems like an afterthought are suddenly going to find themselves in deep water. And those who've invested years in electric know-how, they're about to have the upper hand. Now, think about Porsche. This is a brand that's been quietly running laps around the hybrid conversation for over a decade. The 918 Spyder was basically a street-legal Formula 1 car with batteries, and their endurance racing program showed off some of the most advanced hybrid tech in motorsport. Porsche doesn't need to catch up to 2026. They're already there, waiting. And if you're Williams, a team looking for a lifeline to claw its way back into relevance, Porsche's expertise in hybrids isn't just a nice bonus, it's survival. If 2026 is about hybrids, then Porsche isn't just prepared, they're already graduated with honors. Their hybrid resume is stacked, and at the top of it sits the 919 Hybrid, the endurance racing monster that defined an era. Between 2015 and 2017, Porsche dominated the FIA World Endurance Championship, collecting 3 consecutive Le Mans 24-hour victories and 3 world titles. The car's hybrid system wasn't just reliable, it was ingenious, harvesting energy from both braking and exhaust gases, then redeploying it for relentless speed. And if that wasn't enough, Porsche unleashed the 919 Hybrid Evo in 2018, essentially a rules-free version of the car. With it, they obliterated lap records that had stood for years, including smashing the all-time Nürburgring Nordschleife record with a jaw-dropping 5 minutes 19 seconds lap. For context, that's faster than any Formula 1 car had ever gone around the ring. Porsche didn't just prove they could do hybrids, they proved they could build machines faster than Formula 1 itself. Their expertise doesn't stop there. In Formula E, Porsche entered the All-Electric Championship in 2019, immediately competing at the front. That program has given them years of experience in battery tech, energy recovery systems, and software-based performance tuning, the very elements that will define success in F1's 2026 hybrid landscape. So, when Formula 1 talks about a future where 50% of the power comes from electrical systems, well, Porsche isn't scrambling to adapt. They've lived this reality, tested it under the grueling heat of Le Mans and the unpredictable chaos of Formula E street circuits. They failed, refined, and perfected. The only thing they don't have is a grid slot, and that's where Williams comes in. Because Porsche doesn't need to buy an entire team to show their strength. They just need a willing partner, a Trojan horse for their technology, and Williams in the middle of a revival is exactly that. Now, here's where the picture sharpens even more. Porsche isn't just handing Williams a few shiny parts and saying good luck. This isn't a supplier-customer transaction. What they're embedding is knowledge, systems, simulations, and the kind of proprietary wizardry that separates survival from success in 2026. Think beyond hardware. Porsche's hybrid expertise means Williams could suddenly tap into simulation data honed across endurance racing. We're talking advanced thermal management designs that keep batteries from cooking themselves mid-race, ERS algorithms that dictate exactly when and how to deploy energy, and battery cooling tricks that Porsche has already battle-tested under the brutal conditions of Le Mans. In other words, Porsche isn't just bringing parts, they're bringing a real-world laboratory. And truthfully, that's what makes this partnership so different. Williams isn't just buying components, they're being plugged into Porsche's entire way of thinking about hybrid racing. It's strategic integration, the kind that doesn't show up on press releases but pays dividends when the lights go out on Sunday. To the outside world, Williams still looks like Williams. But peel back the layers and you can see it. The fingerprints of Stuttgart engineering are all over the machine. Volkswagen Group is playing both sides of the chessboard. On one square, you've got Audi, who is committed, branded, and loud. They're all in as a works team for 2026 with the press conferences, the promises, and the crushing weight of expectation. It's a high-stakes gamble that puts a target on their back before they've even turned a wheel. On the other square is Porsche. No headlines, no constructor's entry, no political baggage. Instead, they slide in quietly through Williams, free of the scrutiny that's going to smother Audi from day one. If things go wrong for Audi, and history tells us plenty of big car makers have stumbled hard in F1, then Porsche is sitting in the perfect spot. Here's the beauty of it. If Williams manages a revival with Porsche tech humming quietly in the background, the narrative flips overnight. By 2027 or 2028, Porsche could step forward and take full ownership of the project without ever having endured the growing pains. Audi absorbs the spotlight and the pressure, but Porsche, they sharpen their tools in silence, biding their time. In a sport obsessed with glory and ego, Porsche is choosing patience. No front page entry, no blaring anthems, just a slow build, embedded influence, and a trapdoor that lets them ascend cleanly when the timing's right. It's not flashy, but it's ruthless, and maybe the most Porsche move of all. So, technically, Porsche isn't entering F1 in 2026. No works team, no shiny press launch, no brass band to announce their arrival. But through Williams, they are entering, quietly, strategically, and in a way that might just prove more effective than Audi's high-profile gamble. The genius of it is in the invisibility. Porsche doesn't need its name on the side of the car for its fingerprints to shape the outcome of races. They can influence, refine, and prepare, all while Williams soaks up the scrutiny. And when the timing is right, the Stuttgart giant can step out of the shadows, already battle-tested, already entrenched. Which leaves us with the real question. Will Porsche stay hidden as the silent power behind Williams' comeback, or are we about to witness the birth of F1's next true powerhouse, with Porsche at its core?